do an icebreaker again, since it has been many years since she gave it in the old Toastmasters Competent Communicator Program Manual. Since Zoom meetings limit our personal interactions and the full presence of being together with the warmth of full eye contact, gestures, and feeling is absent, she felt that her story might be more intimate if she used pictures to tell her story. Since a picture is worth 1,000 words, be prepared to receive over 10,000 words today. The title of her speech is "We All Have Stories to Tell." The time of her speech will be 7 to 10 minutes. Everybody, please welcome Elizabeth Martin.
Thank you, everybody. So happy to see you all and to be at another Toastmasters meeting. It's always encouraging that everyone is here and that we are here to share our story, and that's what I'm going to do this morning. So I'm going to see if I can do this presentation. I haven't done a PowerPoint before. I'm going to try and share my screen. All right. So I'm sure you all have your baby pictures. And this one is the one that I found that is probably the only one around that shows me when I was really young. And no, I'm not the one with the big ears. I'm the one right sitting in the middle, and that's one of my aunts that is holding me there. So I was born Elizabeth Garcia. It was my name. I was born at home. My parents weren't expecting me for about another month. So I was very small. The doctor said she weighs, maybe about 5 pounds. I was born on November 9th in Edinburgh, Texas. My mother and father are Patricio and Beatriz Garcia. And I had one brother, he was 2 years older than me, and one sister. She was born 4 years later. So I'm going to go to my next page. So this is me, probably between the ages of 1 and 2 years of age. I really don't remember sitting on these chairs, but that's me. This is me a few years later, and that's my handsome brother. He was 2 years older than me. And actually, I had 2 other brothers before him, but my parents lost them in a tragic car accident years before we ever met them. I had then, about 4 years after I was born, a little sister. So I had both a brother and a sister. This is actually our whole family, kind of a small family, but it was a good number. We had my dad, my mom, and brother and sister, and myself. This is during probably my teenage years, or I was, I think, probably 17 at the time. I went to Belmont High School and I graduated, and when I was in my senior year, they had some people that came from different companies and they were recruiting and they wanted to hire some of the graduates, and I was fortunate to get selected to work for the Board of Education in downtown Los Angeles. So here I am at my office, and actually this was my last day there. I got some gifts. I was fortunate to work in the business department because that was my major, and the lady that was the head, I think her last name was Quackenbush, she actually talked to me one day and she said, "Elizabeth, why are you working and why aren't you going to college?" And I said, "Well, I just thought that it might be best for me to go work and help my family financially. And so this is what I'm doing." She said, "You need to go to college." So I talked to my parents, and of course my mother was very much for the idea. My mom was a very special lady. She had to quit school when she was quite young because of the depression. And she found a way to get some very excellent jobs. And later on in life, she actually went back to school and got her high school diploma. So I did go back to school. I went to Cal State University in downtown Los Angeles, since we lived in the Los Angeles area, and my major was business education. During that time, I met my first husband, and after we lived in the East Coast for a number of years, and there I had my first babies. I thought they were so cute. I decided to have 3 of them, and they were three kids in 3.5 years. So I was very, very busy. Here they are as when they were a little bit younger in grammar school, and then as teenagers. So we have David, Trisha, and Stephen, my oldest. During that time, I had gone through a divorce, and I was alone for a number of years. And life was very difficult with 3 teenagers, and I was on my own. And I had made a list of possibly, if I would ever remarry again, the kind of person I would want to marry. And this list had 10 items on there. And I was very fortunate. I had a dear friend, and actually the story is kind of interesting. I introduced her to someone that she married 2 years later. And a few years later, she introduced me to her cousin, who was Ron, and we married 2 years later. So one good deed and a repaid good deed. So Ron actually met every one of those 10 things on my list. So I knew that this had to be the one that God had prepared for me. So we became the Brady Bunch. I had 4 brunettes, and Ron had the 3 blondes. And so we had 3 girls and 3 boys. And then the grandkids came. That was fun. That came really, really fast, since Trisha married when she was quite young. And here's a picture of my grandkids when they were younger. And this is them several years ago. They're even older now. We have 2 of them are in college. One of them's in junior high. And the other one is my grandson, Jake, is a paramedic. So during all that time where all these things were happening, we joined Toastmasters. And it's actually been, I can hardly believe it, 20 years since we joined the Toastmasters program. And this is just a sampling of how exciting it is to be in Toastmasters. And I took this little phrase at the top here, keep doing it until you get it right, because Ken loves to say that. And surely this is an example of you keep trying. A lot of times in a contest you don't win, but you just keep trying, and you eventually can master that. And so these are trophies of both Ron and I have received. So I want to tell you something that you may not know about me, and you may not know about my mom. My mom was a very special lady. She died at 97. At 70, she started taking journalism classes and writing her story. She came to live with me when she was 90, and she had all her stories, and I decided I'm going to put them all together and type them up and see if we can get them in chronological order, which we did. Before I knew it, she was telling me other stories, and many wonderful stories that I started to type up. So I became her editor and her co-author, and we were very blessed to have this book published. And not only did I help with the co-authoring and also the publishing, and I also did a translation. So this book is also in Spanish. It's called Las Notas de mi Corazón. And we actually finished this and published it when she was 96. So probably about 4 months before she actually passed away at 97, we had both the English and the Spanish translation. This book is available on Amazon, and you can get it on Kindle. It's a hardcover and a paperback. Mom had some wonderful stories. She lived, during a time where There was segregation. During many things that were happening, the depression, they went through that. Her crisis and my dad's having to go through the death of two of their first children. So the story is really a heartwarming and touching, and even a testimonial of how she came through those times. And surely it was their faith and their love for the Lord that was able to bring them through. So skilled speaking really matters. It can open all kinds of opportunities. And I encourage every one of you, stay with Toastmasters. Don't give it up after a few years because you think you got it done, because you never know what opportunities are going to come up in your life. I never thought I would help co-author a book, and yet it was something that was available, an opportunity that opened up, and I'm very thankful for it. So skill speaking matters. It's the means to tell your story and to share your testimony. I hope that you will all be encouraged to keep on trucking on and do it until you got it right. Mr. Toastmaster.